Hello, folks. I'm OdinSpack, and welcome back to part 5 of 33 years and counting of my favorite games. Today, we're going to be talking about 2018, which is kind of an interesting year, I feel like, especially in the Switch lineup, because the Wii U had failed, right? And so people didn't have too much faith in the Switch, I feel like, at first. But it had a killer debut year with Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and Splatoon 2. So it had some good games that year. But 2018 was like a weird year where like there wasn't really much, like I would say, of like any kind of big titles on there, at least as far as I played. Maybe I'm wrong. You can let me know about it in the comments. But they kind of fixed that towards the end of the year, and I feel like after this year, people really had faith in the Switch, and then all the amazing games started coming out for it. So it's kind of 2018 is like a weird year for that, and I'm talking about the Switch because that's primarily what I play. There's gonna be some other stuff on here, but it's primarily gonna be Nintendo Switch oriented. Just giving you a heads up. So why don't we get going into the honorable mentions for 2018? The first one is more of a 2020 game, but it technically came out in 2018, and that's Among Us. And I say it's more of a 2020 game because people really started flocking to it during the pandemic. They wanted a way to play like I guess it's like a detective game. I don't know if that's the correct word, but like there's games like Werewolf out there, and I think like Town of Salem. Like there's those games. Deduction. Deduction is the right word. There's all those kinds of games, and this was just like a fun one to play with friends. It still is fun. I know there's lots of memes and that with it, but I really do think it's deserving of an honorable mention because it really did bring people together, and it still is a lot of fun. I haven't played it in a long time, but I thought it was deserving of being mentioned because it actually did come out in 2018. Uh, Deltarune Chapter 1. Chapter 2 has since come out. I haven't actually finished playing it, but Chapter 1 came out on Halloween this year of 2018, and it was kind of like an out of nowhere for me. I remember, getting spoiled a little bit on Undertale, not too much, so I was really excited to play a new project kind of set with the same lore and universe as Undertale, and especially was anxious to listen to all the music. I didn't know how I was gonna play, but I was really blown away. Honestly, I think it was a really fun first playthrough. Not one I'm really clamoring to go back and play through all the way. That's kind of the same with Undertale, but it's a fun like blind or first playthrough experience. So I say that, and then Kirby Star Allies is the last of my honorable mentions here. This one I feel like people kind of swept under the rug because like you're kind of like forced to have like multiplayer, and it just kind of feels like very like basic Kirby, but at the same time it's not. It's like expanded on what they've kind of set up in the other Kirby games, starting with like Return to Dreamland. Like it's of that formula, but I think it does it really well. You have all the helpers again, and I did play this multiplayer. I play this two-player multiplayer, and I gotta say, as long as you can play this with more than one person, I think you'll have a great time. And not just because like you're playing it with friends, and it'll be fun regardless because you're playing with friends. I honestly think it's a good multiplayer experience. Single player, I haven't really experienced it too much like that. It's okay there, but definitely a fun multiplayer experience. And there's just tons of abilities in the game. It's really cool. All right. That's my honorable mentions. Let's move to bronze medal with Mega Man 11. Now, Mega Man, I got a big history with Mega Man. I love the series. I've played all of the classic series at this point, except for Mega Man and Base. Although I know people maybe wouldn't include that because it's not like one of the numbered entries, but I think it kind of counts. I haven't played that, but I played all the numbered entries. I've played most of Mega Man X entries, not all. But I really love Mega Man. Just a fun classic platformer with great music. Really hard difficulty, which I love that stuff. It's fun to finally like beat something and overcome a certain challenge. I love the series, and Mega Man 11 didn't disappoint. It was more of the same, but it was cool that they finally decided, oh yeah, we don't have to keep making this in the 8-bit look because they did away with that like with 7 and 8, and then when 9 and 10 came out, they're like, well, we should do the retro throwback again. People liked that Mega Man. I don't think they really need to do that. Um, so I really did like how it looked, how it played. There's some classic like kind of like annoying parts, but I think that's just kind of how Mega Man works. And honestly, I like it. I like that stuff because again, it's just really satisfying to get past that. So I really enjoyed playing Mega Man 11. I'd recommend it. My silver medal goes to The Messenger. I have to give big thanks to Madame Wario for recommending me this title. She watched it at a GDQ, a speed run, and said I would really like it. I had heard of the game, didn't really know much about it, just assumed it was like Ninja Gaiden, which I haven't really played either. But this game was debatably my gold medal for the year, but I, well, we'll get into that. But this game is just one of those games that is just so fun to control. Like I was talking about with Metroid Dread back in 2021, it's just so fun to move and control the messenger. Uh, just every action you do, as you progress, you get more power ups that just let you have more options to traverse the world. Uh, it's super cool. It really is. The music is like, oh my god, the music's amazing. Music is so good on this game. Any reason to come back to it, honestly, is just for the soundtrack. That's and like there's a mechanic in the game that involves like there's like an 8-bit version and a 16-bit version. I won't get into that too much. You should play the messenger, but it's really neat. it I didn't know how the game was going to play, honestly. I had no idea. The story at first I was like whatever, but it was one of those kind of whatever stories that finally hooked me as I got into it, and the hook was nice, and I was like, oh, and then I started actually caring about the story. Sometimes I'll play a game and I don't really care too much about the story. I just having fun playing the game. But this is one of those ones where I didn't care, and then the game it got me with the hook. I was barely paying attention to the story, and it got me cluing in. I've since replayed this, and I've played the DLC as well, which isn't as good as the base game, but it was a fun one-time experience. It also has a very weird ending. Um, Definitely recommend. I can't wait for Sea of Stars, which is supposed to be a prequel to this game that plays like Chrono Trigger, very different than what the Messenger is, which is a side-scrolling platformer. Um, but that's not coming out until 2023, so we'll see then. And then my gold medal for 2018 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I think this is probably a pretty common choice for a lot of people, especially if you're a Nintendo fan. Um, everyone is here. Debatably, not all the links are there. Won't get into that, but I wanted to say that because it's a technicality. But anyway, everyone is here. It's the ultimate crossover of every Nintendo franchise, and lots of non-Nintendo franchises are in this too, which I know is a big appeal to a lot of people. Um, but honestly, there was just some really neat character additions that just seemed like why weren't they in the game already? And Nintendo was like, all right, we're gonna get them in, and honestly, I thought they did it pretty good with the last Smash. That some of the additional characters they got in, but I think they really hit a home run on this one, and I don't know if they'll ever be able to live up to this again. If you don't know what Smash Bros is, I mean you should probably go look it up, but it's a platform fighter. And it just involves every character you can think of in video games fighting against each other. At least mainstream video games, anyway. But it's a lot of fun. The online is fun. I know to purists it's not like fantastic, but it is a lot of fun. It's the most I think I've played as far as like multiplayer in the game. I've barely played it in person with other people, a little bit, but not much. But it's a lot of fun, and I know I just keep saying that. Also, the soundtrack is not even fair. Like it It probably has the best soundtrack of all time, only because it just has the largest soundtrack of all time. Like, sure, there's probably a lot of misses in there, but there's probably the largest selection of amazing quality songs in any video game. It's pretty, and I don't even mean just like because like obviously in that game there's a lot of just like songs that are just like not even remixes or anything, but even the amount of remixes and original music in that game probably is higher than like any game that you would think has like the best soundtrack of all time. Like it definitely it definitely is a contender for that. Um, and I really love video game music, so that's that's any reason to come back to that game. So if you for some reason you haven't played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, play it. It's worth playing. Um, so yeah, there's my 2018 picks. If there's anything I missed that I didn't say, you can let me know. And if you disagree, well, I mean you can let me know too. I will see you next time with 2017. Till then, take care. Goodbye.